Hey everyone, as usual, let me know if you can hear me and see me just fine. We are starting the podcast just a few seconds late. Apparently you can. Cool. Let's give that a minute though. Give me a minute to cough. Sorry, I just need to die for a second. Alright. Thank you very much. Everyone, for your patience. My name is Nick. This is Board Game Brawl. This is our weekly Q&A. I took last week off, but I am back here to answer all of your questions or address any of your concerns in any particular order, also to cause ample amounts of controversy, which will cause me to get arrested, fired, killed, murdered, any and all of the above. I'm looking at my phone like a complete douche. Sorry about that. So I did take last week off. I was very sick last weekend, and also throughout the whole week I was incredibly busy. That's part of the reason why my output has just been terrible in the last 2 weeks. It's been super busy at work, but on top of that, my boss had an accident this week, so there's only like 4 of us on staff. So when one person goes down, especially a person who is the crux of everything that we do there, then everything comes to a grinding halt, or everyone has to take up extra slack. So that's what happened this week, and I was just coming home exhausted. He had a bicycling accident. Less than anyone think I mean a motorbike. But anyways, it was a bad thing. But he's fine, and work goes on, and so on and so forth. Anyways, my output has been terrible, and it's led to some really bad situations, because now it's like, not only am I backed up on reviews, but now a lot of previews that I was supposed to do are backed up. Those should have been sprinkled throughout the last couple of weeks, but now they're not. So the end result is that my Labor Day weekend is going to be spent with me sitting in front of my computer, working and behind the camera, working on all of these things. So I will do my best to get as much stuff as I can done. I'm not going to promise what you guys are going to see soon, because I've got so much to do that we'll just see how it lands out. It might just have to be that I have to do the easiest things first, but we'll see how that works. And in the meantime, I'm still gaming, still playing more games, and things like, sorry, I lost my train of thought. And I need to stop looking at questions as I'm speaking, because then I'm like, oh, I started thinking about that. Anyways, I will still be playing more games and getting more fodder for reviews in the future. So you should, hopefully there'll be a decent amount of content. Now, as I've said before on Facebook, what I want to get to a point of doing is get out of this like sort of glut of stuff that I have to do, and get down to doing like one video per day on the weekdays, and like taking like an off day. I'd love to get to the point where you guys are getting 5 to 6 videos of either reviews and then the odd top 10 or thoughts video during the week, and then my Q&A on Saturdays. And I think that's a lot of content for a one-man job, a one-man channel. But I want to get to that point. That'd be really great. Have a steady stream of content coming out to you guys. We'll see how it goes. I can't really promise anything, just because life finds a way. No, life actually impedes the way. Well, we'll see how it goes. But channel goes on very strong. Thank you so much for getting us to this point. So in the meantime, what I don't want to do is stop the Q&As, because I was really sorry. That was just a bad timing on that too last week, that I happened to be sick over the weekend, because the Q&A is something I always want to do. It's my favorite thing to do. So I'll do my best. Just a bad situation last week, but I'll do my best to keep those coming out. In the meantime, I don't want to waste any more of your time. You are here for questions. I'm here to give you answers. So let's get to it. Let's see, just some comments up front. Your new logo should have been you sleeping on the couch in the background, since your dog is doing the podcast. Well, yeah, it should have been me sleeping on the couch in the background because of how tired I've been and not working this past week, or not working on the channel at least. Your Facebook cover photo from a couple of weeks ago, which is also I just have been using it for everything. So it's my Facebook cover photo, my YouTube cover photo at the top of the YouTube page, Twitter, and at the end of my videos. Bugbears sleeping on Descent and some other games in the background. Yeah, I'm really fond of that. My artist did a really, really great job on all of the artwork as far as I'm concerned. But that one in particular is very, very good. So very happy with that and very proud of what he did there. Thank you very much, Chris. Yes, my Q&A started only 168 hours and 1 minute late. It's the 1 minute that really kills me. I'm doing fine, thank you, Joe. I hope you're all doing very well this long weekend. I hope all of you have a much less work-laden weekend than I do. Last year, for Labor Day weekend, I had to help move our company into its new location. Our production manager, boss's wife, this week were commiserating about that and how shocking it is that it's been an entire year. It's one of those things where when you get older, the perception of how fast time moves, it seems like it's going faster, and I'm really starting to feel that. I just can't believe it's been a whole year since we moved to our new location. It's crazy. Okay. The gurgling in my lungs. Great. Please review Hit Zero, and I believe you would like the game. It's my top favorite. Yeah, you're going to be seeing that sooner rather than later. Again, I'm not going to make a promise as to when, but within the next few days, you will see a review for that. The Rise of Man preview hasn't shown up on my YouTube subscription. The Mystic Veil review appeared okay. Well, that's because Rise of Man, I posted that like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. That's been in the hopper for a very long time, but when you publish something, even if you then make it private on YouTube, it doesn't show up in the front page. And okay, if you go to my YouTube page right now, like the core page, you'll have like the here's what you may not have missed, or here's what you might have missed thing, whatever. Or if you're new, you'll see the introductory video. But then underneath that, you'll see recent uploads, and it will do the last 4. And then if you scroll over, you'll see the rest. Well, Rise of Man posted 2 or 3 months ago. So it's in the feed, and it is live, and you can watch it if you search on the channel and search on YouTube, but it's not going to show up on the front page. It's just a weird thing. Less Q&A and more sleep is good for Nick. That may be true, but it's not good for the audience, but I appreciate the concern. I've noticed in the past that some of your videos seem to suddenly appear a number of days after they are posted. Is this intentional, or is it a YouTube feature, quote-unquote? I'm not sure which ones in particular you're talking about. I just mentioned that if I publish, I might post a video, but then make it public at a later date. That usually happens with previews. Rarely do I hold on to a video, just like a review, because I'll just post it as soon as possible. I don't wait for like the opportune time. I've got Marvel Future Fight going out of the corner of my eye. But, so, I don't know what you're really referring to, but let me know which video you mean. Because it shouldn't be holding on to anything. Everything I've posted and made public right away should be showing right up on the front page. And if it's not, I would like to know that. Okay, so Travis asked a very interesting question. Did you hear about the Armored Core board game Kickstarter? I have. They changed the name halfway through the campaign to Mech Command because they couldn't get the rights to Armored Core. I did know that. And instead of restarting the campaign, they continued on, lost $100,000, and were relentlessly harassed by backers. Or maybe you said a backer. Maybe you really mean that. Maybe there's one backer who's being a complete asshole. Should they have restarted instead of continuing? Yes. That's a hard decision to make. So I wouldn't want to be in their position because, first off, well, you could definitely say they should have known. I'm not giving them any kind of. I'm not apologizing for them in any way, shape, or form. I actually knew these people. They contacted me. They asked me if I could post their press release, and I gladly did so. Not out of any kind of responsibility. They didn't hire me to do it, but I liked Armored Core, and I was really excited for the Kickstarter, so I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll gladly follow it. So I feel a tiny bit of responsibility to any of my fans who saw that on Facebook and decided to back the project because of it, although they could clearly stop backing. And so it is very, very disappointing that they didn't make sure that they had the rights to the name. That's still a little murky. I'm not sure what's going on there, but they said that at a certain point halfway through the campaign, they said, we don't actually have the rights to the name like we thought we did, and now the owners of the Armored Core property are putting the kibosh on it, but we might be able to resolve something that might happen, but for right now we need to change the name to Mech Command. Now, here's the deal. The game hasn't changed. And there is a school of thought that says, well, the game hasn't changed. It's literally just the name and whatever theme they were pasting on top of it. Pasting has a bad connotation, but you know what I mean. It's still a mech game where you're still fighting in mechs and assembling them and fighting each other over terrain. It's real time. All the things that were unique about the game are still there. But a lot of people were attracted to that project based on the Armored Core name. And it is more than just a shallow coat of paint, because it also means that there's the presumption that it has the backing of the parent company who did originally create Armored Core. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name right now. Because then you think, well, they must have at least some amount of oversight in final approval, and if they approve this game and approve the use of the license in this way, then it means it's probably going to be okay, at least. So now they don't have that anymore. So what does that mean for the property? And so I can understand the concern there. Now, to the bigger question there in your paragraphs, should they have canceled the campaign? Probably yes, because and look, that's a tough position. Bugbear's having either a dream or a nightmare. Nightmares are dreams, but I'm very distracted. It's very cute. She's chasing something in her dreams. If they had canceled and relaunched and been very upfront and honest about it, they probably wouldn't have made as much money, and it would have been problematic. They still would have had the bad thing, the bad reputation chasing after them. But if they keep on going like this, it is kind of like spitting in the face of the backers a little bit. But how do you walk away from making a couple $100,000? Well, they lost $100,000 anyways. So, I don't know. Tough position to be in. They certainly made some mistakes, so you can't feel too sorry for them, but what can you do? Hey, Nick, I haven't been here for a while. Neither have I. I want to ask if you know any really cool Spanish games, because I'm in Spain for my school exchange. It's bad now, though, because I'm finding it difficult to find a group here. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that, Angela. I really don't, though. I mean, there's so many games translated into multiple languages that I would honestly say you could probably find one of the major staple games in Spanish if you looked hard enough. I wouldn't be shocked if you found like copies of Ticket to Ride and Carcassonne and Settlers there. And of course, those types of games, maybe, Ticket to Ride, even to a degree, are language independent. So there's a thing too. You want to find language independent games and not even have to worry about it. And then if you speak Spanish and can translate the English rules to the rest, boom, there you go. You're as close to... Well, that's the other thing, too. I was just about to say, you're only limited by your access to a cell phone. But if you do have a cell phone or a computer, if you can find a game whose components are language independent, you can probably find the Spanish rules on Board Game Geek. Even if a game doesn't have official Spanish rules, a lot of people translate them. I see this happen all the time. People make their own fan translations, like fan subs of the rule books. So check it out. Chris has a question. Moderator Chris has a question about Black Box. Black Box is the shipping company started by Cards Against Humanity, the company Cards Against Humanity. It's supposed to be sort of a... How do I say this? A bit of a crowd-funded shipping company, or crowd-sourced shipping company, which means to say that the more people that take part in it, the better deals people get. Taking advantage... there's a lot of details on their site if you want to go check it out. But they take advantage of a lot of details of and discounts and things from different shipping companies in order to get the cheapest possible shipping rate. Especially for crowdsourcers, people who fund their projects through Kickstarter to use them as a source. For anyone who sells geeky products, really. But Chris asks, what are the pros and cons of that service? Then it seems a few more Kickstarter projects could do with such a service if it helps reduce shipping costs. Well, right now, I think reports are trickling out about how useful or not useful that it is. I've heard some people say they don't pack the boxes very well. I feel like that's a problem that could go away with time and customer service and quality control. The big deal is money. I mean, I hate to say that, but it comes down to that because Kickstarter project creators lose their shirts over shipping. And for right now, it seems like that is their primary their primary service that they're offering is just giving a discount for shipping. So I would say you don't have a lot to lose by giving it a shot, because even professional shipping companies can screw up the packing. So, and those reports might be overblown. So we'll see what happens. But definitely do your homework, as with anything, if you're planning on doing Black Box. That they're very upfront about on the page, like they are a service. Anyone could theoretically use them, but they're primarily a service for Kickstarter creators and for Kickstarter creators who have not started their project yet. And they even have a funny thing on it, because it's Cards Against Humanity. They have a funny quote in their frequently asked questions that says, if you are a person who has already started your Kickstarter project without considering the shipping, may God have mercy on your soul. Anything interesting that will be coming out after Essen? Well, I already know, and I've already placed a pre-order with Japan Brand for quite a few of their games. But I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really been... I always wait to look at Eric Martin's list on Board Game Geek, because Essen's not till October. Actually, I guess I should start worrying about that now, since we're into September. But I'll do a top 10 anticipated games of Essen list the same way I do for Gen Con. That's always way less popular than my Gen Con list every year, but I still like to do it, and it's fun for you guys too. So that will probably be my next top 10 list, to be honest. But I don't know when it's going to be. Probably closer to the con or the fair. Is it the end of October or beginning of October? I don't know. I don't care. Maybe one of you guys will know. But I don't know right now what's going to be great. Do you feel disappointed by the new releases this year? Not so far. I mean, obviously you haven't seen reviews for them, but I've played some pretty great games. Not just stuff from Fantasy Flight either. There's been a couple of deck building games that have really shocked me how great they are, and I love deck building games. There's been some other games that I've been really surprised by how decent they are. I don't know. It just feels like there's not a lot of high-profile hit games this year. But I don't think that means that the quality is dipping. It just means that there's not any kind of standouts. Yeah, I don't know. But also bear this in mind too. There's a lot of games right now that even a few weeks after Gen Con are still trickling out to people who were not at Gen Con. And once those hit the mass market, and not just the people who are lucky enough to go to the fair, you might see things differently. There might be some games that were there that all of a sudden become huge hits. Or if those games also show up at Essen, then they become a worldwide phenomenon. The European market and the American market are intricately tied together thanks to sites like Board Game Geek. So oftentimes there's a shared fervor for games. So you know what I'm looking at the corner of my eye. You can actually set Marvel Future Fight to be on auto. So this game fully endorses automized farming of resources. So things you would typically have to pay someone to do or find a bot program to do, this game has built in as a feature. You go to a mission, pick your roster, and pay clear tickets to just auto win the battles and get XP, shield points, and resources that you need to level up your characters. So it's extremely addictive. Right now it is, I put two of my weaker characters that I want to level up together with Captain America Sharon Rogers, which was a unique character they created for the game. She's got a Captain America type shield. She's like the daughter of Captain America from an alternate universe, where Captain America never got frozen. He married Sharon Carter, or Agent Carter, Peggy Carter, and they had a daughter in Korea, because that's where the game's creators are. But anyways, she's the most overpowered character in the game. She's got a Captain America shield, a blast energy lance, and nothing can stop her. Nothing except for another one of her. Any new games, including Kickstarter games, that caught your interest recently? Yeah, lots. I'm still waiting on my copy of Seafall to show up, because I wasn't able to get that at the con, but I have my pre-ordered copy eventually. What else? There's a couple of reviews I just don't want to mention right now. Not that it matters. I've been scooped on everything. It doesn't really matter. But the follow-up question that you have is, have you tried Via Nebula or Junk Art? They're actually in my to-be-reviewed pile. Maybe I'll get the Junk Art tonight? Maybe. They sent me a review copy of that, so I do feel bad. It was before Gen Con. If you had one day without filming obligations, what 3 games would you play tomorrow? I'll be playing games tonight. I think tonight I might play Junkart, but I'm probably going to play Let Them Eat Cake, Islebound, Captain Sonar. If I have time to peel away with a second player, I'll play Tides of Madness, although I know there's some differences, but I don't think it's dramatically different than Tides of Time, so we'll see. There's also a game I have called Dreams and Shadows that looks interesting. I'm a little worried about it, but it's got great art. I was wondering if you were going to review Terraforming Mars. I don't even know what that is. I know there's a lot of Mars games, but I'm not sure which one that is. But no, I don't have it, that's for sure, whatever it is. What company does it? How's your Pokemon Go fever going? I've not seen posts related to that in a while. Yeah, I've been kind of dropping out of the game, man. And it's not because it was like, oh, it's a fad, I'm just out of it now. I love the game. But they seem to be doing everything in their power to alienate their fans. They just made an announcement this week that they're going to do the Buddy Pokemon thing, and I'll definitely sign back in again to try that when the update happens, but I was just getting very frustrated. So first off, gym battles, which I was fervently involved in, because I've got 2 gyms right within walking distance of my apartment. I was doing that a lot, and then I just realized one day, why am I doing this? This is so silly. The battles themselves are not fun. The system is very poor and prone to glitches. They fixed some of the glitches, like the glitch where you might drop a Pokemon to 0 health, but it stays up and keeps fighting until you hit it with another like super special attack. So a lot of crap's going on, and it's not a very good system. They could have simplified it, and they just didn't. Even more, and it would have been better, or make it more complex, and they didn't do that. And ultimately, you can cash out a grand total of 10 gyms per day at the same time every 21 hours. And to do that, though, is an arduous amount of work. And what do you get for that work? 10 coins per gym, which means the most you can get is 100 coins, which, by the way, you can buy from the Pokemon store for $1. So I realized, why am I bothering with this? My time is worth much more than that. But okay, fine. I still like the idea of hatching the Pokemon, collecting the Pokemon. The eggs were all really what I was all about the entire time. The gyms were just a side thing. But the eggs, I have hatched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of eggs. And most of them, of course, are the weaker 2-kilometer eggs. If you guys aren't familiar with the game, there's 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 10-kilometer eggs. That's how far you have to walk or drive slowly. And you'll get a certain rarity of Pokemon depending on you get better ones the farther distance you have to go. There are very basic Pokemon I am still missing from each of the tiers because they just are not appearing. No matter how many hundreds of eggs I hatch, I get the same Pokemon over and over and over again. The drop rates are so incredibly and horrendously awful that I find no joy out of hatching eggs anymore. None. So it's really hard for me to stay engaged when that's the case. Not to mention, like, catching the Pokemon, you don't ever find any rare ones around you. It's always Pidgeys and Rattatas. And for some godforsaken reason, when you get higher in level, it literally gets harder to catch Pokemon. They make it more difficult. They escape more frequently. You need stronger balls to catch them. Why? What sense does that make? If you're a better trainer, at least the easy Pokemon should be even more easy. You should automatically catch them because who cares? I got a lot of problems with that game. I want to love it, but man, I just can't get into it anymore. Enough of that. Enough people are annoyed. How did you get your business started, and do you have any recommendations for others looking to get into the business? If you mean the business of game videos or reviews of any kind, I got into it because I really loved. So a few combination of things went on. I was already into board games a lot. I started my own meetup group of this same name. Actually, the Board Game Brawl name, which is a terrible name, was originally started with a board gaming group that I didn't even create. I took over from someone else who abandoned it the first day. Then, so I really got into board games, was doing it all the time. Friends of mine who were already posting videos on YouTube for video games said, we want to get in business together, and you should make your own review videos. And because I was a fan of like Vassal and others, and you said, oh, you should do review videos because you'll make money, and we'll will hawk our products through your, because they had like some Amazon customer business going on for selling old video games, which whatever. So that really didn't go anywhere. But once I started doing it, I developed a taste for it. I really enjoyed doing it, and the rest is kind of history. Hey Nick, have you ever tried StarCraft the board game? No, but I do own it. Believe it or not. I've heard it. So people keep comparing it to Forbidden Stars, but I've heard other people say that's hype. It's really not very similar. There's like one thing that's similar about the two games, and the rest is drastically different. So I'm not really buying into that. It looks like Super Dungeon Explorer is doing a major rehaul of the rules. Any thoughts? Might have been nice for them to do that before people backed the Kickstarter. I'm not really a fan of them doing that. And yes, that game has been not only delayed, the newest Kickstarter project that they did, but every week it seems like they're actually having the users of the game do beta testing for it. I'm not really happy about that. I'm not involved in that in any way, shape, or form. But why did you fund a Kickstarter project that didn't have finished rules, and then you ask the backers to be the beta testers for it? That seems really bizarre. I mean, please. I expect some changes to be made, and people might, and backers of the project might say, "Whoa! We read the rules here, and we don't really like it. Maybe you should change it." And because that's Kickstarter, right? Is the creator listening to feedback and making alterations? I have no problem with that. But like full-on playtesting, beta testing, redoing the whole game, that is really weird. But hey, if I'm wrong, please tell me. Have you had a chance to play Level 99 games Exceed? I'm trying to decide between Yomi and that game. I have had a chance to play it. It's in my review pile of Doom. Because it's been so long, I'll just tell you that I like it quite a lot. I think I probably like it as much as, well, maybe I like it a little bit more than Yomi, to be honest. But I have a new expansion. I might try that before I do my review. Hey Nick, I'm about to play D&D in an hour and was wondering, you said you were a big RPG player before. Have you had a character that, if you think about now, he or she will make you cringe? No. I was very fond of my characters. I got too attached to my characters, that's for sure. When they died, I was very sad. No, I always wrote my characters like they were characters in a story. So I would play female characters. I didn't care because I wanted to always be a writer. So I was like, would I want to read this character in a book? And that's how I made my characters. So I got really attached to them. And some were probably just a little bit too generic. I did a half-orc monk once that wasn't really fully fleshed out. I did an Azumar paladin who I liked, but I did it before I really knew what I was doing with a paladin. And so she did some really dicky things, and eventually the DM took away my powers, which is what you're supposed to do. And I was like, no, you can't do that. I lost everything, all of my stuff that I've been working hard for. And he was like, yeah, because you acted like an asshole, and you're supposed to be a paladin. Like I jokingly pushed a nymph off of a cliff into a lake, and he's like, dude, that lake is 50 feet below. It's gonna like almost kill her. So I felt really badly about that, but I still liked the character afterwards. She actually found an intelligent sword that was very funny. I made them as like a little comedic duo. My favorite character, possibly my favorite character, catfolk as a race were extremely overpowered in 3rd edition D&D. For just a +1 level adjustment, you got like insane stats, right? They're nothing but good, no downsides. And giving up a level was like totally worth it. But I made a catfolk ranger / fighter who was morbidly obese, more so than me. Just morbidly obese. He looked like a giant ball. And I actually was inspired by a picture from a Japanese RPG that I saw of this enormously fat humanoid cat wearing a giant hat. And I made him into an archer because he didn't need to like run around, so it didn't matter. He was just a crack shot. And I min-maxed that character to the fucking balls. And he every time he pointed his bow at something and fired, it died. Like, it just was mercilessly slaughtered by giant arrows. So I really liked that character. And I played him up as like a sort of W.C. Fields type character. Oh, that was such a good character. I miss him. What did I call him? I named him after some stupid indie grassroots band. I think I named him like Okerville something. Yeah. Hey Nick, glad to hear that you are feeling better. Any word on Flash and Green Lantern Dice Heroes? I haven't seen anything. I'm guessing those are Essen releases. I don't know for sure. I'll have to check on Eric Martin's list and see if they're on there. But I'm going to guess they're Essen releases. I know Board Game Bliss will have them in stock at some point because they had the originals. That's where I was able to get mine. Would you consider buying current Super Dungeon Explorer with the Forgotten King, etc., or wait for the remake? Well, I know they're going to make everything compatible, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. So if you want them, I would say get them, play them, and if you enjoy them, you can play with the new rules or not, and they'll probably be backwards compatible. I'm sure they're not going to screw it up that much. Are you worried that Trump might be successfully making a comeback? I am not going to be truly worried until after the debates. If the debates happen and he still is up and is still, or even going ahead, then I'm really going to worry. And by the way, I mean, look, Hillary Clinton is a terrible, terrible candidate, but I just maintain that he's an abomination. That even sane Republicans are like, no, we can't do this. But that's who we might get stuck with because 40% of this country are living in the 1950s. Let's put it. That's the nicest way I'm going to put it. Spiel's at the end of October. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Have you seen the new version of Robinson Crusoe? It looks like they're just changing the box size. I've never owned Robinson Crusoe, but I want to. Are there any differences between the old and new version that you know? I don't know, actually, the differences. I know there's a new version coming out. I do know they're not compatible for some reason, like because they have different sizes or stock. I don't know that there's enough that's different to make me buy the new one, though. So I'll have to wait and see. Have you heard of Mask of Anubis? If so, where and how can you pre-order without having to do the pickup at Essen? So I'm pretty sure you're referring to the game that I actually pre-ordered from Japan Brands that is a VR game. Basically, it comes with like these cardboard goggles that you put your smartphone into and you download the app and then you like see through a dungeon and then have to put together the pieces of it's a cooperative thing with other players. You can pre-order that through the Japan Brands Shopify thing. Just look them up on... You can actually go to they just made a Twitter account this week and posted about it. So you can follow that link. But it's Essen pickup only. They don't have any... They don't want to deal with shipping, and I don't blame them. So you can't pre-order it and have it shipped. I actually have someone who's picking the games up for me, and they're going to ship them back to me. So I'm sorry, I don't know a way to do that. You'll have to find a mule, basically. And they have a lot of games on the Japan Brand thing that I was very interested in. One of them sold out, and I was rather upset. Martin Wallace is... Angela here comments about how many Martin Wallace games came out this year. He's super prolific. He's trying to be the Reiner Knizia of this era. Have you had a chance to play Above and Below? Yeah, it's on my shelf to keep. I like it a lot. I wouldn't say it's amazing though. You said you've calmed down on buying games because nothing seems amazing. I wouldn't call Above and Below amazing, but it's very good. Did you see Clank as the future of deck builders with more theme or even campaigns? I don't know if it's the future of deck building. I think it's a symptom. I think it's an example of where deck builders have come to. That Clank is a game that's probably going to be within the next couple of days. I'm going to review it, and it's very, very good. And I was just really, really impressed with what they did with that. Nick needs stronger balls, don't we all? The other thing that's bugging me is that the board game hobby is starting to get filled with mediocre original content or overpriced IP games. The same thing seems to be happening with movies. Yeah, I've been saying that for quite some time. I think the relentless march of mediocrity is probably the most dangerous thing happening in board gaming right now. And people talk about, is the bubble going to burst? Well, that's how a bubble bursts, basically, is that you flood that bubble or fill that bubble with as many mediocre products as possible until it drowns out the better stuff. And you see this on Kickstarter a lot. That is actually the downside to Kickstarter. Kickstarter has led to some amazing gems being funded, but it's surrounded by coal, basically. I'm not going to name names. I should, but I won't. But there is definitely people who are trying there's designers and publishers who are trying their best to make themselves household names in board gaming, and why not? Because that's how you make the most money, right? When people name recognition. But no one has stopped to look at these designers' actual track history and see the track record. See that not only are their games really not being reviewed that well, people are just saying, they're fine, whatever, at best. They're not selling very well either after the fact. They make their money on Kickstarter and then you can't find them anywhere and no one cares about them. They disappear. And I see this over and over again with people who are considered to be rock stars in the board gaming world, but they're rock stars who haven't actually had a hit yet. So, I don't know. I feel like that's the most dangerous thing happening in board gaming right now. All right, well, Eric disagrees with me. He thinks that having the backers be the beta testers is the best way to do it. I don't know. I something about it just feels funky to me, Eric. I'm not willing to fall on my sword over it, but you may be right. But I feel like I wanted at least a 90% finished product on Kickstarter and not just the miniatures. I don't know. What game or games scale the best from 2 players to 4 or 6? Whoa. Not a lot, actually. Usually when a game goes all the way up to 6 players, it's better with more. But I would say a 2-player game of Legendary is even better. Well, that's a bad example. I don't know. I don't like questions like that. I don't like questions like that. Okay? No, I don't mean it like that. But I'll crowdsource that to the rest of the audience. Give some good examples. Any Kingdom Death Monster videos on the horizon? Yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later. I have to make a decision whether or not I want to flood my Labor Day with doing videos or with doing like review videos, or actually shoot some Kingdom Death stuff. Which would be fun for me, so I should probably do that. The best thing about Super Dungeon Explorer is that it's a kit. You can't really fuck up the rules because in the end it's an RPG in a box. Do whatever you want with it. Well, that's a fair point, but it is a board game and there were set rules. I keep losing my place. Now I'm getting to the bottom. Nick, what is the best co-op dungeon crawler for a gateway game? Best co-op dungeon crawler for a gateway game. Gateway. It's really interesting. So, Warhammer Quest Silver Tower. I wouldn't call that a gateway game because, unfortunately, you have to do a lot of miniature assembly, and it is more difficult to parse than your average game. Nevertheless, it's still a very simple game. I almost want to say that, but of course, it's so expensive and difficult to put together. What's a better example? Maybe we haven't seen the best example yet. Cool Mini or Not is coming out with 2 of them that fall into that category. Mazmora, which actually probably was at Gen Con because they hate their fans. They hate their Kickstarter backers. Hate them. They're disgusted with them. And so it's Mazmora, and then they're coming out with, what's the other one? Darkness? Something in the Darkness? I can't remember what the name of it because I didn't back it. It looks stupid. Something Darkness. Massive Darkness, that's what it was. Wait, maybe it did back it. I don't even remember. What is your current favorite board game publisher and why? Well, it's easy to say Asmodee, right? Because they own everything. But I think, honestly, at this point, Fantasy Flight Games is still the best. I didn't put them as number 1 on that list that I did. Who did I put as number 1? Or maybe I did. I can't even remember at this point. My brain is fried from lack of sleep. I'm very, very happy with Fantasy Flight Games. I know it seems like a cop-out, but goddamn, if you look at their lineup, it's amazing. I know they do a lot of remakes and redos, but it's really good. What can I say? Have you checked out the Battlecore Kickstarter? No, I haven't heard of that. I haven't really been browsing Kickstarter much lately. What is your current favorite board? Oh, you already answered that. Favorite character in Marvel Legendary? Ooh, that's a good question. There's so many. I'll say Spider-Gwen, because I like Spider-Gwen as a character. But her deck's pretty good, too. I like all the Spider people, because they're really low-cost cards that work together very well. Do you feel that Unfair has legs, or will it get old samey and quickly? I can't really comment on that, because I'm going to be doing a paid preview for that within the next couple of days. Has Upper Deck responded to the criticism for the art in Legendary Encounters Firefly? What are the chances they re-release the game with new artwork? I haven't heard that, but I haven't been looking for a response. You should go check the Board Game Geek page, because the development team for all the Legendary games are usually very active on Board Game Geek. They post spoilers for the new cards coming out in a particular set. I'd be interested to see what they said about that, but I just don't know. I don't think they made a public statement. Will they re-release it with new artwork? That seems like a no. I think they'll probably stick to their guns on that. Have you seen Eric Martin's post today? It seems like Simon might be becoming the next Asmodee. Well, I haven't, and that seems like it's worthy of a look. Huh? Let's see if maybe I can pull that up without bringing the thing to the Q&A to a screeching halt. Let's see, because I subscribe to him. Cool Mini or not, technically Simon Limited acquired all branding and intellectual property rights for the successful Zombicide franchise. Oh, that I knew. That I actually saw on Facebook not too long ago. And I actually commented that was probably a negative thing. Well, no, actually, it was a very smart thing for them to do, of course, but I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where, like, whoa, Cool Mini or not didn't already own them? Because they haven't done anything else with anyone else. Also, that's very interesting. So, Gateway Uprising. Oh, wow. So, I did this preview for this game, Gateway Uprising, and never published it because they never actually went live with the Kickstarter. They did once, and then the Kickstarter failed, and then they hired me to do a preview for the relaunch, and the relaunch never happened. And now I'm seeing that Cool Mini or Not is going to publish it. I wonder if they're just going straight to market with it. So I wonder what I should do with the video. I should probably just publish it, huh? No. They paid me to do that, so I can't just do it without their approval. But that's very interesting. Huh. Gateway Uprising was a deck building game. Very unique deck building game with very interesting art style. So, maybe I'll contact them about that and see. Now I'm caught up in this article. Ultra Pro announced a deal in which it will acquire the rights to Stoneblade Entertainment's tabletop games portfolio, which primarily, like the only thing, is Ascension. The only other thing is Bad Beats, which is terrible. Stoneblade Entertainment will still exist as a separate company, and Justin Gary will still design future Ascension releases that will be handled by Ultra Pro. Well, that's very interesting, I would say. Yeah, I'm kind of out of Ascension at this point. I haven't even reviewed their last expansion, which was fine, but reminded me that I'm kind of done with the game. But thanks for bringing that to my attention, Chris. I probably wouldn't have gotten to it for days. Thoughts on the use of virtual reality? Reality? Do you mean reality? I'm going to assume you mean reality. That's funny, though. Imagine that you're a king. That's great. But the use in board games, it's a gimmick, but it's an interesting one. I'm looking forward to Mask of Anubis, personally. But that's like faux virtual reality. Howdy from Wyoming. That's interesting. That's almost like hearing someone's from the Philippines. It's as unusual. Do you have a favorite Feld game? Yeah, I like Feld. He's pretty good. I will say Trajan. Trajan, I find very difficult to play. It's a very, very taxing game. It's brain-burning. It's difficult. I've won one time, but then I lost horribly like 4 other times. So I don't actually own it. I've just played other people's copies. But I like it. It's just very, very well designed. All of his games are well designed. I just don't like some of them. I did not like at all Amerigo. I was like, oh, terrible. But people love it. Do you remember the first... What? Do you remember the first time you looked into my eyes? I do, and I was kind of lost in those eyes. That sea of blue. Have you played Lost Patrol yet? No, I have not. Haven't even assembled it yet. I just messed up and got away from the questions page. Clicked on someone's name. Oh boy, I hope it didn't eat the questions. Let's see what happened. No, okay, we're alright. I'm running my first campaign soon, and I'm curious, when you run a campaign, do you care more about winning or just giving the others a good time? Give others a good time. Yeah, it's easy to say that, but I often would be, if you're assuming you're talking about D&D, by the way. I often would get very competitive with the players if I thought they were having too easy a time, but ultimately you want to just have fun with them. It's not like Descent where you're trying to actively murder the other players. Do you think DC is going off the rails with Justice League Dark when they can't even get Superman in the basic movies right? But the problem is this. They're doing well at the box office. I mean, I don't think that Batman vs. Superman met their projections, but it still was a blockbuster hit, as was Suicide Squad for sure. I would argue that Suicide Squad did very well because it had very little competition for about a month straight. But regardless of all that, real competition. There seems to be an audience for it. I'm very sad. I'm glad that Marvel movies do both commercially well and, for the most part, critically well, because I find them to be much, much better movies. I am not a fan. I didn't even bother to go see Suicide Squad. I'm not even sure I'll bother to see it when it falls off an internet truck. Hey, buddy, looking good. Glad you're feeling better. Have you seen Lucifer on TV? Get caught up. Season 2 starts soon, and I need you reviewing all the superhero fun shows. Well, that's an interesting point there, buddy. Either this weekend or next weekend, I'm going to be doing episode 0 of my superhero roundup show, which probably needs a better name. If you guys want to crowdsource a better name for me, we can do that. But otherwise, it's just going to be called Superhero Roundup, and I'll do it by episodes, where I talk about all the superhero shows that came out in the past week, and I just give my review of what happened on the shows, rather than bog down the Q&A talking about them as we're doing right now. I didn't even consider Lucifer. I know it's sort of based off of a comic book property, I think, but I can't cover everything, so that probably won't be in the mix. But I have heard the AV Club did a review of the first 2 episodes of that last season, where they were kind of like, the reviewer was like, this is utterly ridiculous, and there's a lot to hate about this show, but it's strangely compelling to watch. So it did get me curious about it. If you could appear in any game as a promo character, which game would you appear in? None of them. I agreed to that one time for the Heroes Wanted, and regret doing that for many reasons. But I would never do it again. It's awful. I think it's an awful concept. Get yourself, because first and foremost, it's the height of hubris, in my opinion. To want to see yourself on like every single game. Like, why? It just breaks, especially in a thematic game, it breaks me out of the narrative. I don't want to see myself in a game. Nor does anyone else, probably. I mean, look at Imperial Assault. They have 3 or 4 versions. Eric, you might be having a conversation with someone else. Have you thought about recruiting an intern? Well, if I could give them official college credit and still feel like it's ethically sound, maybe. Is Arctic Scavengers with the expansions worth getting? I don't like the game. I never bothered to review it before I got rid of it, or I will be getting rid of it soon. Other players swear by it and say it's a great game. Thematically, it worked. A lot of other reasons it didn't work for me. But, like I said, other people seem to like it. So it's entirely up to you. You're going to have to do your homework on that one. I don't have a review for you to watch. I'm okay with Simon becoming the new Asmodee because the stuff they... I lost the rest of that, damn it. Because the stuff they put out is arguably better for the hobby. Original IP plus good games. Well, that's a fair point. They're certainly starting to diversify. There's like 3 smaller games from them that came out this week that were never kickstarted. Yeah. What are your thoughts on some of the newer review shows like Game Boy Geek, Man vs. Meeple, and John Gets Games? I mean, the more the merrier. It doesn't really affect me at all. I don't watch any other reviewer. I have a lot of respect for other reviewers, but it doesn't really affect my life at all. I don't watch them, and I won't comment on them. Simon had Gateway at Gen Con. Well, they're just demoing it, I presume, right? Pretty sure I published that preview. Did I? Oh, man, I don't think so, but I'll take another look. Actually, I want to know right now. How do I do that? I use the computer. Let's take a look. Did I actually publish that, or is it just languishing on my channel? There it is. Oh, yeah, look at that. I did publish it. It is live, motherfucker. It's only got like 1,000 views. Hold on a second here. I got distracted by another video. Alright, cool. Well, good to know then. I know you say that you wouldn't go to game conventions. Would you go on a game cruise or some small get-together? Nah, maybe. Maybe something smaller I'd go to. Not a cruise, though. I don't have any interest in a cruise. Thoughts on Star Wars Destiny? It's using less dice than Dice Master. It using less dice than Dice Masters interests me. I'm interested in it, but I'm probably not going to follow it. I'll probably buy starter packs, review it, and then be done with it. Have you picked up the Valiant deck building game? No. I'll have to find that. Is that available now? Do you have a long-term plan for the show, considering Kickstarter, including other people, etc.? I still want to do t-shirts for the channel by doing a Kickstarter. I only want to do a Kickstarter if it's offering something. I do not want to do a Kickstarter that's just like, I'd like the show to keep going. Could you give me money, please? Because I feel like I do that with Patreon. I ask you guys to sit through commercials on the channel, and I do paid previews that I ask you guys to watch. You can or you can't. It's entirely up to you. I don't want to keep pumping you for money unless I'm actually giving you a service. So I think the paid previews are useful to you if you choose to use them. If you don't, you don't, and you don't have to sit through them. And if I did a Kickstarter, it would be, here's some really cool shirts that I personally like, I would wear because I love my kitschy shirts, and I hope that you will too. And the profits from it are going to go to me, but it will help support the channel. But I think we have a mutual thing going. So if I can do that, I'll do it. As far as including other people, probably not, because my schedule just doesn't permit it. I would never be able to keep to working with someone because I'd always have to renege on a day or something like that. Are you excited to watch Luke Cage? Yes! I'm very excited about that. That might be the one show I'm most excited about for this fall season. I'm really, I have too high expectations for it, possibly, considering how disappointing the second season of Daredevil was, at least the second half. Do you still play Space Hulk? Have you ever tried to use any variants to increase the player cap? No and no, but I do like Space Hulk and I'm keeping it. I just haven't played it. Call the show Super Nick and Friends, said no one ever, except for you, Charles. No, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that, but I appreciate the effort. Lucifer is based off of a Neil Gaiman story. I like it a lot. Oh, interesting. Do you war? No. Super Dungeons Explorer has 3 or 4 versions of rules, but so does Imperial Assault, is what you're saying. Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Hey, are you getting your daily exercise? No. Do you watch any other Kingdom Death Monster campaigns? I don't. These are easy questions at the end here. Coke or Pepsi? Coke! Although I have a surge here I haven't been drinking from at all. Is this a Coca-Cola product? I can't remember. Yep, Coca-Cola product. I did buy some real sugar Mountain Dew and real sugar Pepsi, and that was good. What is your favorite deck building game with little downtime? Little downtime. That's a good one. Because a lot of deck building games have a lot of downtime. Well, any game, like Dominion is very fast because it's just buying stuff. There's one type of currency, there's one thing you're trying to do. Whereas, like, Legendary, that's why you shouldn't play Legendary with the max player count, because there's too much downtime, because it's like, all right, here's what I'm recruiting, and then I'm going to fight things. Should I fight the Mastermind? I don't know. So I'm going to rescue a Bystander. Oh, the Bystander lets me do something. So I love Legendary, but there's that going on. So any kind of game that's just got the one type of currency is probably better for quick games. And, of course, the app has no downtime. You mentioned that you don't watch other reviewers, but don't you want to keep up to some degree, make yourself better, learn better techniques, etc.? Well, the thing about it is, I definitely want to get better. There's no doubt about it, but I don't want to mimic what other people are doing, so that's for one. I especially don't want to mimic their opinions, either subconsciously or not. So I don't want their opinions. I don't want to ever... I used to get caught up in, like, responding, not like directly, but I would say, like, now I know some other reviewers have said this about this game. That's a bad position to be in. You don't want to be in that position. So there's that. But also, like, I know what I should be doing to make the channel better. I need to increase my output, have a steadier stream of output. I also need to get better equipment, better lighting. And those are things I don't need to watch other people to know. It's just a matter of getting the funds together and getting the time together. But, I mean, your point is very well taken, Meeple Monopoly. What would you say is the general appreciation of the reunion between Mexican President Peña Nieto and Donald Trump? I think most of the world and those who are against Trump and the Mexican people who have a 2% approval rating of Trump thought it was ridiculous, nonsense, and a complete and utter waste of time and a humiliation for the country. I think that Donald Trump and his supporters and the right-wing pundits in this country who have chosen to align themselves with him, like Sean Hannity, think it was amazing and that was the best day ever. But we'll see how it goes. Fanta, Stewart's, or Crush? Well, I don't know what Stewart's is. Is that like the soda line started by Jon Stewart? And I don't like Fanta, so I'll say Crush. This stream brought to you by Surge. I don't know why you would say that. That's a very poor joke to make, just because I have a can of Surge here that's really got a delicious citrus flavor, and it really gives me the energy that I need to make it through the day. In fact, it's really difficult for me to actually talk about it without taking a sip because it's just so good. So, I don't know why you would accuse me of shilling for Surge, the wonderful citrus drink, because they're just that awesome, and I don't need to shill for them. Dash or Surge, which is more important? What's Dash? I don't even know what that is. Isn't Dash the other name for ISIS? Dash. Nick, yuck, someone says. Well, it's alright. What's the next top 10 going to be about? Probably the top 10 SM, but maybe I'll squeeze one out, which sounds awful, between then and now. What's the saddest arc? Nami, Chopper, or Robin? And that is... One Piece reference. Well, I would argue that other characters have sadder than any of the three of them. Like, actually, I think Trafalgar Law, if you haven't gotten to that point in the show, because it's in this last story arc, which I'm just catching up at the end of the show, that is really a tragic arc, because he has two sets of circumstances whammy him in his childhood within a few years of each other, and it's just terrible. But of the three, since those are my three choices, Nami, Chopper, and Robin. It's got to be Robin. It has to be, right? Because Nami... So, okay, Nami's bad. Nami and her sister were abandoned war orphans. They finally found a surrogate mother. She dies tragically, and then Nami is forced to work for the pirates. But they're still able to go about with their life. She's allowed to go around with her life. She has some fun. She learns some skills. Her life's not in constant danger, and there's hope on the horizon. Chopper is abandoned by his reindeer tribe, and he does have the most important person in his life. I forget the doctor's name now, but the crazy quack doctor who dies, and that's super duper sad. but he still had that person in his life, and then was immediately taken in by Dr. Kureha. So I'm not diminishing how sad these things were, but they were okay. Robin, however, not only did she lose her mother, she lost all of her friends and family and surrogate family at the university. Her entire island was destroyed. Everyone she ever knew or cared about, and everything, her home was lost. She became an outlaw. Everyone was hunting her. Everyone hated her and despised her and thought she was an unclean demon because of the information that she had and because she was involved with the accident at O'Hara. And for a dozen years, she was just a hunted monster. And the only way she was able to get out from under the thumb of that life was aligning herself with someone who wanted to use her because of that, which was Crocodile, and still had a miserable life. So it's got to be Robin, and she's definitely in like the top 5 tragic backstories for sure. Oh, I see. In Kingdom Death, you have Dash or Surge that you can get. Surge is awesome. Spending your survival, yeah. Will your Super Show just cover shows or comics and movies? Also, TV shows. Just TV shows. Maybe I'll do movies. I don't know. Stewart's Fountain Classics. Try it if you can find it. Okay. Would you back Kingdom Death Monster again if it came back to Kickstarter? Yes, I will. I'll probably buy another copy of the core game, because why not? Because it's a stupid thing to do and it's expensive, but I'll still do it. Alright guys, I'm going to end it there. It's afternoon. It's after 1 o'clock, I mean. Thank you so much for watching. I apologize for the delays of all the videos and for not being here last week. Bad set of circumstances, all compiling in a couple of weeks. But channel's still on. The channel is still going strong. Thank you all for your support. I love doing my Q&As, and I wouldn't miss it unless I absolutely had to. So I want you all to enjoy your long weekend. Hopefully, if you're in the U.S., you're having a long weekend. Have fun. Do something great. And take it easy, for God's sakes. Thanks so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.